Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to ADHD Under the Spotlight. I tried to get the studio, I was going to try and do it so there was just a spotlight on me, but then that would have looked a bit freaky because you would have seen like this talking, glowing cap. So I didn't bother with that, I just lit the studio up as normal. So we've just done the video on the beginners and enjoyed doing that. It's like fresh mind, let's get back into the content because now I can focus on and have a clear mind on what's next and really sort of put pieces together to make some really cool content instead of 1,001 things running through your mind coming in the studio. So if you've got ADHD and you're doing YouTube, it's a nightmare, and you'll understand because you sort of come into a studio like when you've got like the art side of things, and this would be my sort of ADHD mind. Before I make a video, I would walk in. You're basically talking to yourself to double check yourself to go over what you're doing. So you're setting out, I need this paint, I need this airbrush, I need this, got that there, set the camera up, lighting, check the camera settings, go back, do this, go back to the camera, check that, lighting. Nip out, get a drink, come back, ready to start, microphone, is that on, check. That's before I even start to paint. And then I was painting portraits. So trying to focus on something that's like 2 to 3 hours, and with a speed in mind, you're rushing it. You don't realise you're rushing it, but you are, because your mind's 101 steps in front of what you're doing. And coming into the studio today, it's like, whew. So that's the sort of stuff you go through if you've got this and you're doing YouTube. So I've done a bit more research and I'm looking at loads of different things, NHS sort of sites for medication and this, different scientists and doctors and things like this, YouTube, looking. And I sort of done a test on myself. Guinea pig, I thought, why not? I'm going to do a test yesterday on a quick release medication. I'm going to try it. So I got up in the morning with the sort of mind and it's the anxiety, the spinning of the mind is the one. You don't realise until you take a certain medication how fast your mind was spinning, and then you can literally sit there relaxed, think back in your life of all the stuff that's gone on, go through your job history, what you've done, like I did this, well I left there, this happened, and then you can think, well that's why that happened, that's why I left that place, and that's why I've jumped from job to job. I've learnt it, I mastered it, next one, and you do this for your life. So I think most ADHDers, they sort of go through job to job to job to job to job. I'm just really glad the tail end of my sort of being employed with people and then went self-employed for the last 12 years. That helped me a lot. It really did, than working for someone. Yes, I do jobs where I do go and work for people, but I'm not there consistently. Now, the downside to that with ADHD, if you're self-employed, is when you've not got work, you can slip into depression very quick because you can go, you can plummet. So when you've got the work and you're on it, and that's why I push YouTube, because it's the next day in the studio, something different, paint something different. That was keeping my ADHD racing mind on the go, because you're thinking, I'm thinking of one video to do tomorrow, then I've got the next one lined up, and I used to phone my friend up and say, I've got 16 thumbnails of artwork planned, ready to go, and it's like, but you've planned all this, and then it's that motivation to start it and do it. But once you do start it, you can home in on things, but it's really exhausting. So the medication and things like that, I did a test and this was for like Saturday we'd planned to go shopping, which is a big one. It was a big one for me every weekend, going into crowded places, and the anger and the temper and the slightest things are not, it's like you've got deaf ears. It's really weird, because it's like you're completely inside your own head, and it feels like you are talking to yourself in your mind, and it's racing. And you look at things in this fisheye lens, I think I describe it. The fisheye lens, where it's like closed in a bit, and you're sort of tunnelled in where you're going, what you're doing, 100 mile an hour in what you're doing, tunnelled. So I thought, right, test on myself, self-medicate, let's try this. Got up in the morning, bang, done a tablet, quick release. And oh my God, after doing the research on the medications, I thought, right, I'm going to try this, just do a trial. Before I go to the doctors this week, I want as much information before I go to the doctors, because I'm going to tell you a scenario in a minute. And I think a lot of people are going down this route with the doctors, because I've gone through this now knowing what I've got. Self-medicate, thought, right, the first task is the drive in the car. Now this was a drive 15 miles away to this retail park. Now usually when I drive in the car, you'll notice this with ADHDs as well, and I look at this now and think, oh my God, I do this as well, or did do it. You can have music in the car, and you have I won't listen to the radio, I'll have my own select set of music on a memory stick, and that memory stick's been in the car for 5 years, the same over and over again, and I can get in the car and quite easily listen to that same thing, and that's 5 years, same thing in the car, and it's like, oh dear. So you don't realise this until your mind's really clear, the things that you have done in your past and how you experience it. So self-medicate Saturday morning, gets up in the morning, bang. Now all I can say is, guys, is fisheye lens, stand in the garden, and then all of a sudden you've got full panoramic view, and it is like a curtain being lifted in front of your eyes, and the racing in the mind stops, and it's like you just freeze. You stand there. It's the most unreal experience I can honestly say I've felt in my life with this. I was like standing there, like full open view, looking round, going, and you're doing this, it's like, oh, is this real? You know, and it's like you don't want to move quick, because you think if you're going to jar your head, it's going to trigger something, it's going to start again. And then you just settle down into it, and it's like, wow, this is unbelievable. So big overwhelming feeling of that, thinking, crikey, if this is what it's like to have a normal brain screwed in there, this is unreal, and I've missed out on so much, just being in a calmer state and no racing thoughts in your mind. That is, I think that is the worst piece of it, is the fastness, the speed of the mind going, and the burnout stage. When you hit the burnouts, it's horrendous for an ADHD, because you're like a bull in a china shop in your mind. You're probably not running round, but your mind is, and it's that balance, it's that leveling it out. Now, I mentioned about depression, and ADHDs can be depressed because if they've not got like something to do, or you can just sit there, and then it's that getting up to do something. You've not got that motivation. Now, it's that level of the good bits in the brain that need to go to the brain that sort of bring you up. You're lacking that. The endorphin type bit that brings you up. Now, the way people say you can get that is exercise. Now, when I thought of that, I thought, well, well, I'll need to be exercising 24/7 to keep this spinning thought out my head. There's just no way I can do that excessive amount of exercise to keep that level of that perfect. Even if I do an hour a day, I don't think the hour a day is enough to warrant and last out them good endorphins going there. I need medication. It's got to be the medication route to have a slow release that's going to last from like 8 in the morning till 6, 7 at night. And then it will start to wear off and then you go to bed. You can lay down, you can go sleep. So I'm thinking of that route because I'm sort of an active person anyway. I do enough active stuff, but probably not enough to increase that level. I just want a tablet that can go whack in the morning. I can just crack on and just do it that way. So depression, you can slip into depression real bad, and an ADHD, it is bad. So looking back, I was sitting there with my wife last night and we were just chatting, and this hasn't happened for a long time. We're just sort of like both got our heads in tablets or we're just doing our own thing. So sitting there and just talking about past jobs, and I was thinking, because I'm clear-minded at this point, I'm like clear-minded thinking, this is why this happened. And then I said, I went through the depression route. I lived in Leicester and my job at the time was the Royal Mail. And I needed to transfer to Essex because this is where my wife lives, in Essex at the time. So the job I was in at the Royal Mail was, with this condition, it's the, you know what you're doing. I'm on a postal round, so I'm on that same round, that same thing every day. So it's that repetitiveness for the ADHD that you can then feel comfortable in your surroundings and you feel comfortable in what you're doing. So you haven't got that pressure. It's pressure from a start when you first start it because it's overwhelming to take on a new job. But once you've learned it and you've got that repetitiveness, that sort of, you can lock that in. You can then be comfortable with an ADHD when you're in a job like that and you do the same thing. You know what you're doing. It's like boom, 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 and you can do it. Stick that job that you've done there, move yourself to Essex, and then go into a place where you're basically a northerner and you're going down to the southern end of the spectrum, and the bitchy comments start, the clicky groups start, you're an outsider, you stand in a canteen in a food queue and the line behind you, they're all going, yeah, charge him more, he's not from round here. Dealing with that day in, day out, and then dealing with an area of your surroundings like your town that you've moved to. You don't know where you're going, you don't know any of the streets, you just sort of know the street where your wife lives. You don't know all this surrounding area, you know, because you've not lived here. You've moved down somewhere. So the postal system down here was absolutely horrendous how I got treated. Now, I know there's all this thing about the postal thing that's gone on the TV with what's gone on and the crap these postmasters and all that suffered, but there is a lot of issues in the post, like what I experienced going through, was absolutely horrendous. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Someone from another place, town, coming into a very cliquey organisation of people with this condition that I've got, and then you're thrown in the lion's den of rounds. If you don't know much about the Royal Mail in like sorting offices, you have sort of like these tables, and you've got, like, if you can imagine, say 20 streets, and you've got all your houses on, and there's all these slots and slots and slots with numbers and streets, and then you've got bundles and bundles and bundles of mixed up letters, and you're going, looking at the letter and then finding that number and that street on this board in front of you. So it's a big board that angles round, and there's usually like 3 or 4 tiers, and you're looking and you're slotting, looking around, slotting, and you're doing this. Now when you've done this where you used to live, and you're used to that board in front of you and you've had like a year's experience on that, you can near enough do it blindfolded. You can look at the letter and you can go like that. And 9 out of 10 you will hit that spot because you know it. You've worked it for so long. Try and do that in an area that you do not know. With ADHD, so you're anxious, your mind is racing, you've got a time limit as well. You're sort of pressed for time, so it's pressure like you would not believe. And you're sorting through this on a board you don't know. So you're going on the Monday and you're on this one. Then the Tuesday, they don't stick you on that one, they stick you on one over there on another one. Then they stick you on another one. Then they stick you on another one. Your mind. So I went from a job that I loved in Leicester, in the north, coming over here to absolute, it's like you're going into a concentration. That's all I can describe it. It's like you're being tortured with a racing mind. It was horrendous, guys. It really was. So I ended up going doctors and saying to him, this is what's happening. And he's going, you're depressed. And then they ask you, the question is there any of this in your family? Is there any ADHD, this, that, and that? Well, I didn't know what this ADHD was. I didn't know I was suffering from it. You go to the doctors to try and find out what's wrong. So you instantly say, this is happening. They go, you're depressed. Here's some antidepressants. So when I was on the antidepressants back then, the ones that the doctor prescribed me, because they go through a load of them, they give you, you like become their guinea pig, and they chuck these pills at you and try these ones. See you in a week, see how you get on, or 2 weeks for them to get in your system. So you take the first batch and it's, well, they're not really doing anything. You're working, I'm still working on the post. And I'm a little bit, they numb you. They dull the brain. Now, for me, I didn't need the dulling part. My serotonin levels were a little bit low, yeah. So they pump you these antidepressants, which then completely dull my brain. So it's like I'm monged out and I'm going there. It's like, oh yeah. All I needed to have was like dribble coming down here, and that would have been me standing in front of these boards with the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of letters trying to find out where I'm going. So I had that, went back, says these ain't working. And then he prescribed me Seroxac. Now, if any of you have heard of Seroxac, that stuff got banned because people were committing suicide on that. So here you go, try these ones. So these ones were like, yeah, dulled the brain, but really screwed me up. So I had 18 months. In between, I was coming up to getting married, and I was on Seroxac, and Seroxac sent me completely over the edge to the point of suicide. Really, really bad, and going to the post. And I was just to go to the post in the morning, where I was supposed to take like a Seroxac in the morning. I was tripling up, taking like 6 to go to the post. And I don't know how I even drove to the post office to start my job, because I can't even remember getting there, just to go through the day. And then it came to points where the tension, the pressure, the rage was that bad because I needed the upper. If you've got ADHD and you're depressed, yes, you need the antidepressant, but you need the other one to go with it to give you that good part, to level out the brain, to stop the racing. So I didn't have that bit, I just got prescribed that bit, because it was like, oh, you've not got ADHD, you're just depressed. So the rage kicks in with these Seroxac, and that is like, you want to kill. You just want to, I think it's the worst experience in a workplace I've ever had. So it got to the point where I was medically retired from the Royal Mail. You're not allowed to set foot in the Royal Mail again. You know, I've done all these years at Leicester thinking, yeah, this is a career I really like doing, because my sister at the time was on it. And she got me into it. And I thought, yeah, this is a good repair. It's going to have pension, this, Royal Mail. It's going to be really good. Nice career move to move into. And stick with it until I retire. That was the plan. Oh no, not moving down here and then taking on all this stress, the backstabbing, the constant bickering behind your back, dealing with ADHD, not knowing you've got it in a workplace that was bitchy and horrible, was horrendous. So yeah, 2 years of that. 2 years I dealt with that solid, being on Adhd and working in a workplace I didn't want to be in. So yeah, medically retired from the Royal Mail. Pay you out, get out the door. There's a wad of money, you're not allowed back. Bang. Bye, enjoy the rest of your life. It's like, great, now what do I do? So then you're on the path of your next job. Still not knowing ADHD, I must just be depressed. So then trying to wean yourself off antidepressants and trying to look into it a little bit and think, right, new career change might get the depression off. So then trying to think where I went from there. Went into another job that was okay. Worked with people that weren't, I worked with a couple of people at the time, and they were very calm people. They weren't aggressive, weren't angry sort of bodies to be around. They were calming. I enjoyed it. It was round the corner and I was doing that. Doing that, and then met somebody else, and it was, met someone who I worked next to, and he went, Rob, he says, you're too good for this job. What are you doing in a job like this? Any brain dead idiot can do this. You're worth more than this. There's more to you than this. I can see it. And it was like, go and do this. I know where there's a job to do this. And sort of moved on and progressed. These people that I met along the way must have seen something in me that sort of went, you know what, you're more worthy than this. And you move on. And it comes to where I am now. So all that past, I sat with the wife the other night with a clear mind and not a racing mind, thinking, oh my God, this is why I went through this, and the trauma and tension and pressure going through these workplaces. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my life has been a waste. I have wasted and not enjoyed any of that. None of that. Years and years and years and years of this, honestly saying, complete anxiety, stress, pressure, through all of that. And now I'm here, and this weekend, trying this self-medication. I thought, right, I'm going to try this after looking at all these different sort of podcasts and things. I thought I'm going to try this. So I did. And as I say, got up in the morning, came outside, fisheye lens to full panoramic, no spinning in the brain, and I'm like, I daren't move. I'm standing outside thinking, I need to take a double take. Let's just stand here a minute and like, this isn't real. So first thing was jump in the car, and I thought, right, I'm going to put myself through all these scenarios that I can think back to that I've done in the last month that trigger these rage, the emotions, the anxiety. I'm going to put myself in all these places to just see if this is what this pill is doing, is balancing this out. So the first thing was in the car, drive the car 15 miles. Now usually I can drive from my house to Tesco's Express around the corner, and the slightest thing, I'm raged, I'm stressed, I'm like tense in the car. Jumps in the car to do this 15-mile drive, and it's like, click, music's on, very low, wife's talking, and this is how it feels. When you've got ADHD and someone's talking to you, it sounds like they're muffled and you're not hearing them. You have to go like this because all you can hear is the thoughts and the spinning and the fastness, and it feels like you're talking to yourself in your mind, and you're just going over the stuff you're thinking of and want to do next, and your next day and your next day. It's like, what? And it was clear. I was like, what? It's like the wife's talking in like full on DTS stereo, and it's like, I'm doing this on the radio thinking, is it the radio? I'm turning the radio off, it's like, oh my God. And I was just taking all this in, and nothing else was interrupting it, and it was so nice to listen to her voice clear. Because when you've got this going on and you listen to your partner's voice, it feels like they're just tearing your head off, but they're not. They're not tearing your head off. It's just your bad thoughts and your spinning mind with this illness going on. So the journey was like an absolute breeze. No dramas. There was arseholes on the road that were like coming up behind me, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, just go round. And it was like calm all the way. So we get to the retail part. Now the next step is we are going into a place where there is hundreds and hundreds of people. Loads and loads and loads of different shops. You've got screaming children, noises, music, everything's going on all at once. And I thought, right, this is the test. Got out the car, grabbed the wife's hand and went, right, here we go. She goes, you all right? And I went, yeah. I says, it's just so nice to just have this full panoramic view. Your eyes, like they just go whoop and open up, and it's like, and everything's clear and you're calm. And when you breathe, it's like, you just take it all in. It's a real weird feeling. So we're walking around the retail park. And she goes, is there anywhere you want to go? And I went, yeah, I want to go in there. And it was the busiest shop. There was kids and everything in there. And I thought, right, here we go. This is the test. Walked in, and usually I would go in a shop and I'm scanning with this tunnel vision of looking up, look round, and I'm like, yep, and I'm out. And I'm standing on the front and I'm waiting usually like this, going, come on. And the wife's in there walking round. And I'm outside thinking, pacing. But I was in the shop, looking round at stuff, picking stuff up, going, oh, that's pretty cool. Walking back over to the wife going, what do you think of that? It's cool, isn't it? And then we just enjoyed it. I just walked round, calm, no spinning of the head, clear, nice panoramic view. Said hello and bye to the woman that was running the shop and walked out, and I thought, and I looked at her and I went, well, there's the first challenge done, let's try the next one. And I was just doing this through the day, trying different scenarios. Went to get something to eat and screaming kids, rattle noise, and I'm like, well, they're making noise. There's no pressure, there's no tension, there's no rage the whole day. Every scenario I threw into the mix on that day went an absolute dream. I couldn't wish for a better day. That has probably been one of the best days I can say I've honestly had, looking back now, in my life, of relaxed. And it was shopping at a retail park that people do every week. The mundane, boring stuff, but that to me was like, it was like experiencing Disneyland, even though it was like all these little shops and just normal day-to-day that everyone experiences. So if you get the right meds, and I wanted to run this by you as well, if you are on antidepressants and the doctors prescribe you anti-Ds because they go, yeah, you're depressed, have a look into ADHD. If you're depressed and you've got this going on in your head and you're 101 mile an hour, I'm going to put a picture up now, this one here. My name is ADHD. So hot temper, frequent mood swings, problems focusing on task, poor management skills, there's frustration, there's loads. So there's that one. There's this one as well. Overlooked symptoms of ADHD, hyperfocus, sleep issues, mood swings, low self-esteem. I can relate to all them and more, you know. I'd put a few more on there that they've not got. But if you look at them and think, well, yeah, I'm depressed, but I can relate to that. Just get you checked. Get yourself checked out for ADHD, because you might need that other tablet to go alongside your antidepressant. And I guarantee you, if it is that, well, the minute you take that and it balances that out, you will be like, oh my God. And you'll see what I mean by this fisheye to panoramic to the roller coaster, the hamster wheel stops, and it's, oh my God, it's just incredible. So When I came in here today and to do the beginners video on the air pressures and things like that on this, I am itching to paint. I am itching to paint. It's like, whoa, I can't wait. It's like, oh, because I'm relaxed here. Before I would come in, rush to get a video for you guys. And I look at some of my past videos and I think, crikey, how are people taking this in? Because I'm going 100 miles an hour. It's like, ooh, you know, it feels like I'm in time lapse, even though some of the videos I'm not in time lapse, but I'm like fast painting because it's how I was. It was just like time limit, time limit, time limit. And there's this picture as well. This one is like, phew, yeah. People with ADHD can relate to that. That image right there. That one and that one. It's like, ooh, it's a weird perception of time. So, coming back into the studio with a clear mind and painting is going to be enjoyable to paint and make videos for you guys, and that's what it's about. So on that previous video of this, when I was like saying the journey with a racing mind on that video, and then moving into this video and talking to you about the experiences and things, I really can see, if you've got this in your painting, I can see what you're going through. If you're a beginner with this and then trying to do this airbrushing, straight down the doctors, give them as much info. When I go next week to the doctors, I'm going to go, right, doc, this and this, experience this. I've looked at professors talk about this. So I've done my gen up on basically what it is. Now I've obviously lived with this from a kid, because I can relate back to being a kid and being my parents taking me to special places to try and get looked at, and no one could fathom out what it was and this and that, and never got diagnosed with it, and being in the bottom classes and being in the special classes at school for reading, for everything. Going through school for me was an absolute nightmare. Didn't even take any exams, none. I walked because I'd done all them years of it, obviously dealing with this and not knowing what it was and not being medicated for it. So school, all them years of school, an absolute nightmare. Hated being there. Depression must have been through the roof, but I was a kid, young, active. So I was always out on my bike doing stuff. So I can see where as a youngster you sort of balance yourself out, you're like a coiled spring. But then coming into adult and then going through work and then dealing through all that, job to job. My life just feels like it's starting now. I can honestly say it feels like I'm starting my life now at 51. So I don't know how much longer I've got left. Probably got another, I don't know, probably max 20 years. So yeah, I can now enjoy that part of it and say, yeah, I enjoyed my life there, but all that past, no thanks. That's just a blur, an absolute blur of horrendous jobs, not being diagnosed and all that. So yeah, if you are an adult and you're thinking you've got this, just get it checked out, but go to the doctors and really push, because they're quick to get you out the door with, yeah, you're depressed. Take these. Buy now. Pack you off with your little prescription, because you instantly think, well, he's a doctor. He knows what he's on about. Doctors and all that, and all these people will get, they get the commissions and all that for how many pills they can push out the door, you know. So yes, they are there to help. Some of them really do help. Some doctors are really, really cool and nice, but some are like, yeah, off you go, take them, bye now. And that's how I felt, how I got treated when I was depressed with this back then. So I went through 2 years of absolute hell on antidepressants because I needed the other one to go with it, to level that bit out, because this part or the other part, there's like 3 parts. The serotonin bit, yeah, it was a little bit low, but it was the other one that needed to be brought in with that to level it. And I just got the Adhds, packed out the door. Enjoy your chaos, Mr. Dickens. Bye-bye. And even got sent to a psychiatrist. They go, we'd like to send you to a psychiatrist to get your head checked out. And she's there getting paid God knows how much to tell you what's wrong with you. And she didn't pick it up either. And it's like, well, that really worked, didn't it? So yeah, you've got to be really careful when you go down these avenues of these people that are supposed to try and help you out, because so go in there with as much information and say, look, this is what I go through, this is what I go through, this happens when this happens when this happens. Yes, I can get depressed, but if I'm not doing this, really try and look into it. But it's really hard when you've got a racing mind, because your thoughts are jumbled and you can't think clearly. To sit in front of the doctor and say it's this, this, this and this. But hopefully this video will sort of like prick your ears up and think, yeah, I understand where he's coming from that. So go in with as much information as you can written down and say, Doc, this is what I'm going through. I've written it all down. This is 9 in the morning, this is what happens, that happens, that happens, that happens, that happens. I think it's ADHD and depression. So I obviously need something to counteract this, to level this out along with that medication. Happy days, Doc, sort me out. And then you hopefully will come away with the right meds that you can enjoy your life with. And as I say, when you do get that right med that goes with it, it's that fish, I feel. Honestly, put your thoughts in the comments, guys, on if you've had that feeling where it goes whoop to panoramic and that spinning just stops and it's like you freeze, you absolutely freeze. You're outside and you're thinking, it's like you're touching yourself. Is this real? Have I woken up? It's just an unreal feeling. And then to experience the whole day like that, with no spinning in the head, no racing thoughts in the mind, no temper issues, no flying off the handle. Like, there were so many scenarios where I would usually blow off the handle and it was calm, and I'm thinking, and my wife's going in the day, she goes, should we go for a coffee? And I went, no, I daren't have one. No, I'm not going to have a coffee. I'm just going to enjoy this at the minute. I'm not even going to put that in my system because I don't know what it's going to do. Is it going to counteract this? So it's really, really overwhelming, but an unbelievable experience when you get it dialed in. So I hope this video's helped. I really do hope it's helped some of you out there, because there was a lot of comments on the channel, people coming across going, I couldn't believe the amount of comments. And this sort of stuff needs to be talked about, because people are living their lives in this state, and it's like, oh my God, it's like, no, you know, you need to enjoy your life. Don't go, as I say, that's why I call it under this spotlight. It's like you're in this sort of tunnel of light and everything's caged in and thoughts, and you don't need to be in that. I'm just so glad I'm sort of seeing that, as I said, the Teletubby moment in the other video where you see the sun coming up and you see the horizon. It's like, oh, it looks nice over there. And I've experienced that at the weekend and it was unbelievable. It really was. It's like, oh. So I hope it's helped you out. I can babble on all night about this with you, and I want to see you get the help if you're struggling with this. I really do, because you don't want to go through this. You don't want to experience this, or, you know, being stuck with it. It's manageable, and the right meds, people say, yes, you can do it with diet. Now, I've looked into the diet side of things, and looking at the stats of dieting and on your diet and all this, it sort of masks it a bit. It doesn't 100% cure it. Yes, we all should eat healthy diets. Now, I do. I don't eat crap. You know, I do eat quite well. And at the right times. You know. So, diet for me is, my diet's good. Exercise, yeah, so I do cycling, I'll go out, walk the dogs. I'm busy, I'm active, you know. I'm not like overweight. I'm sort of the right height, weight, muscle, fat and muscle and all that. It's like just bang on. So I've been at this sort of level all my life. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, I hope it's helped you out. I can go on all night. I've babbled on long enough. So thanks for watching, guys. And like I say, drop your comments. Now I've got a clearer mind as well, because people have been saying, I keep going on now, people have been saying, well, I want to get as much out as I can. People have been saying in the comments, I do that where you go over and go over and go over the comment. That was another test at the weekend with the non-racing mind and the clear. I sat down and thought, right, this is another frustrating one for me when I'm reading. So I went on to the comments and it was like, oh my God, put my glasses on and I was like, just reading it and taking it in. And then the next test was, wife goes, should we put a film on? And I went, yeah, let's put a film on. And absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed it. Usually you watch a film with ADHD and it's, oh, we're going to put the film on, we're going to put the film on, you put the film on. And you're skipping, your mind's racing, you're here, there and everywhere. You take snippets, it's that fisheye. You take snippets of the film and then you don't understand the story and it's like, what's going on? And then you're asking, well, what's that about? So was he with her because of that to this? And why does that car blow up? And I sat and watched a film like feet up, clear mind, no spinning head, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was like, that film was awesome. And it was like a 2-star movie on Prime. And it's like, everyone's giving it a thumbs down. But I'm thinking, no, that film was really good because I could actually sit, relax in the mind and watch what was going on. So you're going to experience all this when you get your meds evened out. It's like life begins. You've missed out on all this stuff. So thanks again. Thank you for the comments. Thanks for listening. And I will see you in the next airbrush video because I'm itching to get on it. So it's going to be a real cool one next one, guys. So cheers.